S-Cinetone gives you cinematic looking footage straight out of your camera with pleasing skin tones with no colour grading required. It's also now available on the Sony a7S3. I'm Jason Roberts. In this video I'm going to show you 4 different ways you can set your exposure when you're shooting S-Cinetone in your a7S3. I'll also throw in an extra bonus tip later in this video. Let's go. So the first thing you'll want to do is check if you've got S-Cinetone available on your a7S3. There's a couple of different ways to do this. You can head into the settings and see what version you're currently running. If you're running version 2 or above, you should have it. Or you can just go into the picture profiles and see if you've got picture profile 11. If you don't see picture profile 11 showing up, then you'll probably need to go and update the firmware on your camera. Just head over to Sony and follow the instructions. So once you've updated the firmware, head into the picture profiles and choose picture profile 11. This is the S-Cinetone picture profile. The next thing you want to do is set your ISO. The base ISO for S-Cinetone on the a7S3 is 100, and if you're shooting at nighttime or in low light, you might want to choose the higher native base ISO, and that's ISO 2000. You should use these 2 ISOs for the best possible noise performance. So now you've got your camera set up, let's look at the 4 different ways you can set your exposure when using S-Cinetone. The easiest way to set your exposure for S-Cinetone is simply by using your eye, using the viewfinder or the screen on the back of the camera, and judge the exposure by what you see. Unlike something such as S-Log3, which requires color grading in post, you can use S-Cinetone footage straight out of the camera. So what you see in the viewfinder or on the screen is a good indication of what you'll actually get. This first method also means you don't have to worry about going into the menus and setting up zebras. This makes it super quick to shoot with S-Cinetone, but you might end up overexposing or underexposing skin tones or blowing out and clipping important highlights. One disadvantage to this approach is that if it's a really bright day, you might not be able to see the screen properly and you might not be able to judge the exposure correctly. In this case, you could always go and use the electronic viewfinder instead. The second method is basically the same as the first method, except this time we're going to use zebras to check that we're not blowing out or clipping important highlights. Just set your custom zebras to 109+ using the lower limit zebra mode, set your exposure based on what you see in the viewfinder or on the screen, and then just reduce your exposure if you see zebras on any important highlight details. If you're not sure what the different zebra modes are in the a7S3, check out my zebra tutorial, which I'll link to in the description below. The next simplest method is to just use the meter in the camera. Adjust your exposure until the meter reads 0.0 and then just hit record. No meter's perfect, so in a heavily backlit scene or a bright scene such as a beach or snow, you might get an underexposed image just relying on the meter. You can try overexposing or underexposing based on the meter to get different looks. Before we get on to method 4 and the bonus tip, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and turn on notifications today so you don't miss out on future videos. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for supporting me and this channel. One of the benefits of S-Cinetone is the nice skin tone colours it can produce straight out of camera. If you've got people in your shot, you'll probably want to use this next method to make sure your human subjects look good. This method makes use of zebras, and you'll want to set your zebras to 65. To set this up, head to your camera zebra settings, choose custom, standard plus range, set the range to ±3, and set the zebras to a value of 65. Now simply adjust your exposure until you start to see zebras on the brightest parts of your subject's faces. Depending on the look and the mood that you want to create, and also on your subject's skin tone and complexion, you might want to try and set zebras at 55 or 60 for a darker and more contrasty image. Or you can go the other way and set your zebras somewhere between 70 to 75 for a brighter, flatter look. If you want a handy quick reference guide to exposing S-Cinetone on your a7S3, head over to my Instagram and there you'll find this handy quick reference guide. You can save this to your phone or screenshot it so you'll always have it with you. This is 100% free for your own personal use. If you find this quick reference guide useful and you want to do me a solid, just subscribe to the channel and share either a link to this video or my channel itself. See ya! Zebra's at 55. There's a little bit of highlight, a little bit of zebras there. Meter reading -0.7. Right, this is zebras at 65%. A little bit of zebras there and a little bit there. Yes, 75 zebras here, a little tiny bit there. Alright, this is zebras at 109 plus, whatever it is, and there's just a very tiny bit of zebra there, but basically no zebras